Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Gemini Festival Gathering in the Garden. Today, we enter the period of intense group meditation, aligning with the hierarchy. Thank you for joining us. Let us start with visualization, preparing us for our work together today.
And as we start our work, we visualize ourselves entering the garden. The garden that we nurture, we clear, we build day by day. We plan and receive the vision. So as we gather in the garden, we look at that side that is open to the ocean. With a big group fire that we see, along with an endless body of water. Connected to the water of Vesak. And as we look up, we can see endless sky with the clouds full of rain. And we visualize how this rain reaches the trees of the garden. Bringing the blessing. Informing all that is. Of the energy of Vesak. Coming within the energy of Gemini. And above all of that, we see the dome of the starry sky. Holding everything that is. Holding the group space. Supporting our work. And here we start.
We are standing in the upper chamber, connected to each other's hearts, as individuals and as groups. We recognize our place as that of the periphery of the hierarchical ashram. We send rays of soul love to the masters, and from there to the center Christ, heart, the Christ. We sense his love and the love of the masters returning to us, pervading and inspiring our group. As we thus stand, we use our imagination to hear the Christ pronouncing the great invocation and see, understand, and sense its reverberations through humanity. Let us now light our candles, their flames relating the fire from above to the fire deep within our hearts. With nothing in our hands to which we cling, with lifted hearts and listening minds, we hear a single voice which speaks of truth. Salvation covers us with soft protection and peace so deep that no illusion can disturb our mind nor offer proof that it is real. In this moment, separation ends, and we remember who we really are. And so we continue our part in the one work.
Our gathering today in the garden opens a series of Gemini festival meetings organized by the 2025 initiative together with the Hekal group from Jerusalem. Today, as we enter into the stage of preparation for the actual full moon, we recognize and remember the energy that the Christ received during the Vesak from Shambhala via Buddha, holding this impulse for a month. And in these days, we, as members of the new group of World Service, standing on the periphery of the great ashram of the Christ, standing ready to receive this flame, the flame of the will to love, to radiate it to humanity. We can recognize this as a flame of the Pentecost, the flame of spirit that comes, bringing us all together in understanding of each other's tongues, reminding us that we are all one. Energy of Gemini has special qualities. Quality that teaches us right relations on all levels. And this is the main focus for the 3 meetings that will be hosted on the 2025 initiative platform in the next few days. And at the same time, there will be hundreds and thousands of meetings of groups around the world. Standing together in receptive mode. Holding our position on the periphery of the ashram. As we stood together during the Vesak festival, unified in our recognition of the purpose that connects us across all the differences of opinions and differences of recognition of what is truth. We could recognize the high notes, or rather recollecting the high note of unity. And that note continuously sounding for all of us. Starting with the Aries festival this year, our groups been holding and sounding forward the recognition of the ongoing process of the externalization of the hierarchy. Recognizing that any group that can create a receptive vehicle for a shramic impulse can become an experimental outpost for externalization of the outer ashrams. We remember that all ashrams are found upon Antakarana. And therefore, groups that can build the group Antakarana, aligning into the great flow of cosmic interconnectedness, can become an outpost for shramic energies. And this is the part of the great process of externalization. All our groups are part of the same web of externalizing ashrams. Again, I want to remind us all the great quote from Dina 1, which became an inspiration for our groups in the lead to the higher interlude this year. We know that much of information given by Tibetan master 100 years ago and 70 years ago been intended for disciples who will be living at the beginning of the 21st century, for us. And there are a lot of practical gems hidden throughout the pages of the books. And this quote gave us the hint of how the outer ashrams of the future will be functioning. And it gave us a model that allowed us to recognize the stages of building the safe space for difficult conversations. We recognize that as esoteric groups that seek to work with the real issues so that humanity faces, we have to create the space that would allow us to hold that transformative fire of great crisis through which the humanity undergoes. And so these 3 stages that we recognize being the focus for our work through the 3 festivals. In Aries, as we worked with the Center of Ageless Wisdom in Portugal through the Conference of European Unification, we were seeking to create the safe space where the basic harmony between the different groups and individuals who have opposite perspectives on what is happening in the world could be created. And many of you have been part of that experience. And that note of possibility of unifying on the higher level where the higher truths can be perceived became a guiding light for us. And that allowed us to come to Taurus, to the Vesak Valley, being unified in our vision of the purpose, opening our group antenna to listen what is coming, and thus aligning with the hierarchical meditation. And now, in the time of Gemini, it's our opportunity to receive the impulse, encoding it, and through meditation, reflection, and discussion, seek to recognize the meaning of energies and forces that working now in the world. And that is part of our group vision quest. There is another recognition of the special opportunity that we have at this time. I didn't realize I was muted. Daniela, can you please advise me when did I mute myself?
You mentioned a special opportunity at this time, and then you went mute.
Thank you. The special opportunity of this time is related to the 9-year cycle. In this quote on the screen, you can see indication, again, a hint of opportunity to align with the hierarchical meditation that happens every 9 years. Meditation when the hierarchy meets together to meditate on the vision of the plan and lay their plans for the coming 9 years. And it says that its disciples and initiates on the periphery of the hierarchy have opportunity to align with this meditation, perceiving this sense, getting the sense of what is the plan, and align our group plans, the work that ahead of us for the next 9 years with this vision of the plan that the hierarchy perceives. And it's also an opportunity for each of us individually reflect on the 9 years ahead. What do we recognize as part of our work ahead of us? And year 2023 is special in that sense, as the cycles of 3, 9, and 27 years shift. And so as we, this full moon, work with the energy of Gemini, with the impulse of the fire coming from the Christ, it's opportunity for all of us as members of the new group of world servers to align with the great hierarchical meditation that is happening now. And also to do it not just for ourselves, but for the entire group of world servers, precipitating the substance of the plan, making it more available to all servers who work on the front lines of the human need. As we prepare now to enter the meditation, I want to remind us about another focus and opportunity to meditate on the real needs of humanity related to the crisis of transformation. Under the energy of the Vesak, as we worked with the Seventh Ray Institute conference, we offered the opportunity to meditate on transformation of a conflict into harmony, visualizing a group cauldron where the alchemical transformation can happen. Let us today look on the transformation that's been happening within the group cauldron, reflecting in our meditation on the questions that will help us to recognize how we can transform crisis of conflict into harmony. How Gemini can help us to shift from polarity of opposites to the higher level of vision. And recognizing and invoking the opportunity to bridge the gap of polarities in our inner conflicts and conflicts around us. That will be the focus for, practical focus for our meditation. The format of this meditation is adapted from meditation given by Tibetan for individual use, to reflect on qualities of different signs. As we meditate as a group, there will be periods where we will be able to share our impressions. Let us consider that as a part of the meditation. As each of us will be sharing, let us recognize that as an act of putting impressions into words, sounding them to the world, as an act of radiance. And then our impressions will be sounded as a synthetic poem that Daniela will venture to weave for us. And that will help us to enter the final stage of meditation, where we will radiate those impressions to the world. And thus, all our meeting today will be a meditative service. So let us prepare for the meditation. Align with your soul. See the group standing in this circle. Use the power of the creative imagination visualizing radiance of the group centers, supported by each of us in this circle. Polarize upon the group mental plane. Visualize the rainbow bridge, group Antakarana. We know that all ashrams are found upon Antakarana. And therefore, through an act of will, via the Antakarana, we orient towards the hierarchy. We recognize ourselves standing in the periphery of the great ashram of the Christ. We align with the hierarchical meditation on the immediate aspects of the unfolding divine plan for the next 9 years cycle. We're opening up for the extraplanetary energies. We'll hold the silence for 7 minutes, endeavoring to recognize the dominant note and quality and life. we silently sound Om and refocus on the group mind level. This is the pause of reception. Reflect on the question: how can the energy of Gemini be utilized to resolve the conflict of dualities at a higher level? How can the energy of Gemini be utilized to resolve the conflict of dualities at a higher level? Relate your impression to the present world opportunity, seeing its relationship to world affairs, its usefulness and spiritual value to humanity as a whole. What is our part in the work of bridging the gap between the pairs of opposites? Consider our inner conflicts and conflicts in our immediate environment. What is our part in the work of bridging the gap between the pairs of opposites?
Sound the silent Om, making the received impressions part of your very nature. It is said that it is responsibility of disciples to modify, qualify, and adopt the divine plan simultaneously. The plan is not imposed. So we enter the stage of expression of ideas. As disciples, we realize that knowledge of truth and reception of ideas lays on you the responsibility to be a transmitter to others. And thus, we open a group sharing to express the ideas and impressions. If you would like to share, please raise your hand and unmute yourself.
Go ahead, Julia. And if I may ask everybody who will be sharing, please speak with a slow pace so that I can take notes. Thank you.
Hello, this is Julia. It's 7 o'clock in the morning on the 2nd of June here in New Zealand. Deep gratitude to you, Alexander and Katia, and the Hechel group, and to all participants for this opportunity to share. I was deeply moved at the Wesak. In front of one candle. We had a blackout here, no power. It was 5:34 in the morning, dark as we're approaching winter. And I had such a yearning in my heart, looking at the flame of the one candle for light, for humanity. And I was reminded of the words, and again today, in the second great invocation, may the souls of men awaken to the light, and may they stand with massed intent. And for me, my approach has been, because we live in a rural area, we have organic vegetables growing, and I've joined a group where we are sharing the produce of the land. And in this way, we are building a great deal of trust and openness. And I, as a Gemini, my birthday is going to be on the 6th of June, I am very aware of learning to listen with my heart and to find the right opportunities and timing to speak. For me, the yearning for freedom is going to be a keynote in humanity as we come up to elections in New Zealand, and we have a lot of talk about disinformation and censorship. That freedom of speech will be an issue for our election in October, or is it November? October, I think. And we know that freedom comes from Sirius, and we know that we need to stand together. I think this, as people start to recognize what's the significance of the past 3 years, the deeper significance, they will turn to the higher value of freedom above material satisfaction and above self-preservation, and will begin to talk. And for some, they will be disenchanted with what they're discovering for the first time. But as we stand and make our own affirmation from the affirmation of the disciple, I am a source of strength enabling them to stand, it's because we are learning to stand in the noble middle path and to be impartial. And I recognize that I've been using the breath cycle, the in-breath to take in, but then the out-breath to relinquish. So in a sense, that's standing in the center of pairs of opposites, the in-breath and the out-breath, and in that pause, becoming that impartial observer who nevertheless feels a deep compassion and seeks the right timing, the right words. As a Gemini, this is so important to communicate in right timing. And for me, as I said, and for our center, Southern Lights Center here, Meditation and Retreat Center, our vegetables and our exchanges, where we have the earth in common, is a beginning of opening to the sharing of ideas about what's actually going on in society, and a lot of the hurts that have not been addressed publicly and so on. So to be an example of somebody who stands in the middle and with wisdom can share and bring a strength and a radiance into our group meetings where we meet together to exchange our skills, our produce, and so on. That's what is happening here for me. And I wanted to share this idea of our group, the way that we're working as a group here. So blessings upon all, and thank you for this opportunity to share.
Thank you, Julia. And very good morning to you.
Hello, this is Helen from Jerusalem, and it's quite late evening here. I was very taken by the image of the garden and the entrance to the garden and the flame that we bring with us and from place to place. The meditation was beautiful, and my experience of this meditation was a very strong quality of a fourth ray energy, balancing the pairs of opposites. It is not harmony yet, but it's balancing. There's a lot of movement, of convergent movement from the opposites towards a middle, like a middle path, a common purpose of listening in, seeing the one sitting opposite me, and create the threads that link the hearts. I imagined, streamers opening vertically from chakra to chakra in individuals and in groups, and streamers opening their path horizontally from chakra to chakra, from chakra to the correspondent chakra of thy neighbor, as individuals and in group formation. And I stayed with this image of movement, of streaming upward and horizontally and downward to the earth, and from groups and expand to nations. Yeah, this is what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Very good evening in Jerusalem.
Thank you for this gathering today. I was so taken with the opportunity of the time cycles all converging in the theme of crisis and consolidation, and Alexander's invitation to contemplate the 9-year cycle we are entering into. And I saw the 9-year cycle in the context of the group synthesized group soul that truly landed, manifested, knew itself, recognized itself in Wesak as a one lens, as a one receiver and distributor. And that energy and its spherical nature sort of surrounded the 9 years starting now as a sort of ring pass knot. The group ring pass knot encompassed those 9 years with the oneness and the will to good, and with manifestation. And from that center, looking out at the various manifestations of the pairs of opposites, it was like the kind of will, the will to love, was that higher magnetic and yet impressing first ray and second ray, if you will, energy that could at once penetrate into the heart of the peoples, the groups who are experiencing opposition. And in that penetration, touching, realizing, recognizing, being at one with the Christ within each of those people and groups. And then it becomes the magnet back home to absorb through the Christ in them. And that recognition making the Christ in them radiate out and break their own little limitations and boxes to merge and go back to the central group source. And so that I saw that activity within a ring pass knot encompassing the 9 years ahead of us as the home base, if you will, of the sustenance, the energy, the will, the antakarana, the linkage that we will need to sustain our efforts in that time dedicated to the reappearance of the Christ.
Thank you, Deborah.
This is Andrea. Thank you all, every one of you, and all of those who stand outside of this group, but within this group, for the generosity that is given with such responsible commitment. It is a privilege to stand beside all of you. And I am increasingly finding that it is through compassionate identification that we are able to invoke a shift from the polarity of opposites. And that true oneness comes from that expanding understanding of relationship with every aspect of creation manifested by the Mother of the world. And if we can intimately recognize the harmony of our resemblance and correspondence and hold the highest note of compassionate love within this united field of the Christ, this united Christ consciousness, because it is that streams through all of the kingdoms on earth. And as the new group of world servers, we know how to use our intelligent imaginations. We've been given that gift in this incarnation with great purpose. And there's great power in that to envision that one life in all its unlimited and borderless wholeness. And it is in that space that the freedom of creation can flow through liberated hearts and minds. Compassionate identification. There's something very special about that. Thank you all so much. I send you all so much love.
Thank you, Andrea. It's Indisha here in Canada on the West Coast. It's just past high noon. And the sun is brilliant and the sky is blue and there's a breeze from the ocean. I feel very honored and want to echo Andrea's saying how proud I am to stand among you. The quality that came to me during the meditation that is so crucial in these times is steadfastness. Coming together consistently, holding the light, opening our hearts ever wider as we do this work together. And I find in my own life, the more quiet I can be internally as I move through my day and interact with other people as an agent of goodwill, but the radiance of that quiet, people sense it. And in this world, it just seems to be so frantic, such a hectic pace of life, that when we model the quiet, the stillness that we experience together, I think we become a healing balm for humanity. And in some small way, that is a service. Thank you all.
You, Desha.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, Santana, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for the beautiful meditation and visualization, but the realization of the one light and the one life and the power of synthesis to synthesize the pairs of opposites into oneness. And the more groups can go into deep meditation and listen for the will of the ashrams, and the more one can learn to radiate out that energy through the heart and through the ajna, directing the light, the love, and the will to good round the planet, eventually the darkness will be dissipated and the avatar will come who has the power to seal the door where evil dwells. Thank you.
Hello, Brannigan. Hello. Oh, okay. So I'm still in that's why I'm calling. I'm just on a break right now. And this meeting is going longer. I wonder if.
Thank you, Santana.
As when you stop speaking, don't forget to turn off your mics. Yes. So, Uta.
Hello. Yeah, it's a great joy to be doing this work together. For me, the main impression was getting a sense of 9 years. individually and in our group work, and for the whole of the world group, and also for humanity. What is this? What is the quality of these 9 years? What will it take also? Am I personally able to see my contribution in these terms of 9 years? You know, with the Jerusalem meditation, we had several opportunities of crossroads where I think it's quite streamlined with the 2025 initiative from the beginning. What would it mean now to commit for another 7 years to do this work? So now we are standing on this threshold of 9 years. Yeah, so like weighing what is the need of humanity, what is the need of the hour, with what can I and what can we in our Hechal group and we together here and the new group, what can we do? What is required specifically as we have this pivotal moment of 2025 coming up? What does it mean to pass it together? And now to work towards this, and afterwards to continue this. And I also had a similar impression to Desha when you said coming together consistently, this rhythmical work, just to imagine what will be if we continue 9 more years like this. In terms of my and our contribution of transforming conflict into harmony or into creative tension, as Asajoli calls it. So there were these 2 aspects complementing one the other. The one is the will to love as the substance out of which right relations and these threads of relationship can be built. And the other is somehow the same thing to do on the mental plane, through a scientific attitude. That's again a term from Asajoli, which means bringing my best understanding based on my findings, and listening also to the best understanding of my colleagues without judging or canceling each other, and being in a spirit of trying all together to come closer to the truth. We can have this scientific attitude together with the will to love that struck me as a good formula. And one more thing is the grounding of all our wisdom that we have been given from the Tibetan, and that we are embodying, doing our best to embody it, yes, to bring it out into the outer, into humanity. Like Julia, this is wonderful with your vegetables there. And I'm also opening myself to more local participation and local projects, also with nature. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Uta.
Hello, this is Kiki speaking. Listening to Dasia's The Balm of Humanity made me think of, I'm reading a book, A Time to Keep Silence by Patrick Lee Fermer, about monasteries. And he's talking about the monks and how they live their day, the Benedictine order. And one sentence is sort of apropos in a way of what she just said, describing the monks. They are the anonymous well-wishers who reduce the moral overdraft of mankind by their constant daily praying and their life of service until they die in the monastery, that is. But I think also we may not be in monasteries, but our daily life of service, we still pray from our heart. We listen with our heart, as someone else just said. And I think that's very powerful. And it will keep us, we are serving and doing until we die. And what came through from the whole meditation was a buildup of a massive intensity. That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you for all.
Thank you, Kiki.
There's several sharings in the chat, so I can read those. From Matthew. Let us take care of our earth, protect the wildlife and our ecosystems. We are one humanity living together on one earth, and we are all interrelated in many ways. Let us learn to get along with one another, respect our differences, work through our disagreements, and help everyone achieve a more prosperous and ecologically sustainable life. Let us work together towards our shared common goals. Let us respect each other's freedom while also cooperating together for our common good. Let us be generous with whatever wealth we have to give to those who are in need. Let us take care of our earth, protect the wildlife and our ecosystems. Let us resolve conflicts non-violently with dialogue, not war. May we listen carefully to one another and try to understand their point of view. Thank you, Matthew. Anna wrote, fluidity, recognition of duality, soul control. These are the keynotes of the sign and should be the keynote of our life. In a connection with the duality of conflict, you should bear in mind that there is a conflict of the evolutionary process leading finally to the conflict upon the path. These are the two aspects of struggle, unconscious and under direction of the form, and of personality integration. This is a consequence of goal of the first conflict, and then there is the attaining of harmony between soul and form. This arrived at by the struggle upon the final stages of the path.
Thank you, Anna.
I would like to add my impression. There's a quite a volume of energy that is there, and the impressions will be coming more, I feel like. But one impression that came that it's one of the practical nature is to welcome the conflict as an opportunity for evolution, to recognize and even celebrate these opportunities to get out of our comfort zones to the next level of our possibilities. And it was like an image of a dance where two people dance together. So it's that Gemini energy, those opposites that create the movement. So let us not be sorrowful about the crisis, but celebrating it as opportunity.
Thank you, Alexander.
I too have thought about the 9 years, but I look back instead of forward at the beginning to see how much has happened and how much has changed in 9 years, how much has changed within the groups that I participate in, going from fledgling connections to solid connections, how much has changed in the world. And the idea that where we stand now is really a pivotal time, not only for us, but for all of the kingdoms. When you look at the intelligence that is brought to fore and all the possibilities for new inventions and new discoveries, we're on the edge of science and in terms of understanding energy. I think we might be able to really believe and find through science that the etheric web exists. There's so much in the way of possibility for us. And I think the idea of we the people is really starting to have a groundswell. I think people are understanding that they can't be passive anymore. So I think 9 years, there's a possibility for lots of possible change. And I did look at the idea that crisis does bring change. It can't stay at the crisis point. And that's where we are. I think in terms of what we need to hold, I would call it a completed point of view. So from whatever you see, always see it from the other side and see it from above as well as from across the table. I think if we can move with goodwill, which is love, but love that is directed and acting, I think that the possibilities for us to make an impression and for us to radiate what's in our heart will begin to tip what's out there and is naturally evolving. So I'm hopeful, very hopeful.
Thank you, Judy. And it's Katya, and I wanted to say that those 9-year cycles are, it's just, I also was thinking about the one that was before, the one that is now. And the other two that's going to happen, you know, because we're at the beginning of the 27-year cycle. 9, 3 times 9. So if we, during this days of the full moon, meditate, bring it into our meditation, group meditation, this point of Gemini of 2032. And if you can, of 2041. And if you can, of 2050. We might align more with a greater vision. And from that point, looking back at Gemini of 2023, see our path more clearly and recognize that this energy of the moment will support us and help us to recognize what is the evolutionary step, and help us to recognize what is a difference and what is a true opposition that requires shifting up a level from which this opposition is not something separate but part of one. And from that point we can see what needs to be done, which we might not be able to do now, but with the next step we will. And as Antonella said at one of the meditations, visual meditation, so Gemini at this particular point in time is the most open heart. So that we can do as a groups, receive that energy, connect with that heart, connect with the will, fiery energy that opens that heart wider, so we can include more and love more and radiate that love. Thank you.
Let us bring all our impressions together into the group chalice, recognizing those as the streams of energy weaved together, expressed for the good of humanity. And I invite Daniela, whenever you're ready, after a moment of silence, to sound this synthesis that appears. That will prepare us for the last stage of our meditation, radiation.
Rich sharing. So, deep gratitude, yearning for freedom, learning to stand on the noble middle path. In breath, out breath, pause. Let us take care of our earth. Let us learn to get along with one another. Let us be generous. May we listen carefully to one another. We bring the flame with us from place to place. Converging movements, common purpose of listening. Streams between neighbors, individuals, and groups, chakra to chakra. Opportunity of time cycles all converging. Being at one with the Christ within. Intimate recognition of the compassion and of the one life. Freedom of creation. Joy of standing together and stillness created when we are. This is our service. Listening to the will of the ashrams. Opportunities of the crossroads. Fluidity. Recognition of duality, soul control. The struggle upon the final stages of the path. Transforming conflict into creative tension. Will to love a substance out of which right relations can be built. Time to keep silence. Recognize and even celebrate a conflict as opportunity for evolution. Completed point of view. Radiate what is in our heart. Opposition is not separate, but a part of one. Connect with the heart, connect the heart with a fiery energy that opens the heart wider so that we can include more and love more and radiate that love. Thank you.
Raise the chalice up and hold the flame of the group heart radiant and rich. Passing the flame to many groups, each on their own pinnacle, picking up and flaming their torch. Lighting up the grit of love and light and power around the world. And we pass the torch to the next meetings of the 2025 initiative on June 5th, Meditation for Common Good, and June 6th, Creative Lab, Awakening the Souls of Our Nations. And many groups that will be meeting between now and then. Let us hold our chalice high and sound the great invocation to close our meeting at the end.
We are weaving our lives. We are weaving our hearts and our minds. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our journeys through. We are weaving our lives. We are weaving a blanket of light. We are weaving a basket to hold all that's true. We are weaving our lives. We are weaving our hearts and our minds. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our journeys through. We are weaving our lives. We are weaving a blanket of light. We are weaving a basket of light. We are weaving a basket to hold. We are weaving our lives. We are weaving our hearts and our minds. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of the journey. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our journey.
From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And as we leave the group garden, we leave the gate open, that each of us could come there at any moment. It is open.
Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Love upon love upon love, all hearts are beating as one. Light upon beating as one.